Victor Lustig is one of history's most legendary con artists. His scams were so bold and elaborate that they seemed impossible. But he was not just any fraudster. He was a master of deception, a man who could convince even the smartest people to hand over their money. His greatest scam, selling the Eiffel Tower, not once, but twice. His ability to manipulate, persuade, and outthink his victims made him one of the most fascinating criminals in history. Unlike ordinary criminals, Lustig did not rely on force or intimidation. Instead, he used charm, intelligence, and persuasion. He could make anyone believe his lies, whether they were businessmen, politicians, or even gangsters like Al Capone. He was always one step ahead, constantly changing his identity and evading the law. His scams were so well executed that many of his victims never even realized they had been deceived. He understood human psychology on a deep level and knew exactly how to exploit greed and trust. But who was Victor Lustig? How did he manage to fool some of the most powerful people of his time? And what led to his eventual downfall? His story is a fascinating tale of ambition, deception, and ultimately, justice. His ability to adapt and evolve his scams made him incredibly difficult to catch. He was not just a con artist. He was an illusionist, a master of misdirection who made people believe in things that were never real. His confidence and smooth-talking nature allowed him to blend into high society effortlessly. He was not just stealing money. He was selling dreams, illusions, and promises that never existed. His life was a constant game of cat and mouse with law enforcement, and for years, he always stayed one step ahead. But every great con artist eventually meets his downfall, and for Lustig, the game could not last forever. 1. The early life of Victor Lustig. Victor Lustig was born in 1890 in Austria-Hungary, in what is now the Czech Republic. He grew up in a modest family, but was highly intelligent and ambitious. Even as a child, he was fascinated by persuasion and deception. He realized early on that confidence could open doors that money could not. He had a gift for talking his way out of trouble and making people believe whatever he wanted them to. His ability to read people and anticipate their reactions gave him an edge over others. Unlike most criminals who rely on brute force, Lustig relied on strategy, psychology, and charm. As a young man, he traveled across Europe using small scams to make a living. He was a gifted speaker, fluent in multiple languages, and had a natural ability to win people's trust. He quickly learned that people could be easily fooled if they believed they were getting something valuable. He started with card tricks, fake gambling schemes, and minor frauds, but he quickly outgrew small-time scams. He wanted more. He wanted to pull off scams so big that they would go down in history. And that is exactly what he did. But Lustig did not want to be a small-time crook. He wanted to be the best. He refined his skills, developing scams so convincing that even the wealthiest and most powerful individuals fell for them. His journey into the world of deception was just beginning. He knew that to succeed, he had to target the rich and powerful. He did not just steal money. He made his victims feel like they were part of something exclusive and elite. That was his secret. He made people believe they were in on a great opportunity when, in reality, they were his next victims. 2. The fake money machine scam. One of Lustig's most famous scams was the Romanian box, a device he claimed could duplicate money. He demonstrated the machine to wealthy investors, showing how it could produce perfect copies of real banknotes. The trick was simple. He had preloaded the machine with real bills. When he inserted a legitimate note, the machine would appear to print an identical one. His victims, blinded by greed, believed they had discovered a way to print unlimited money. The scam worked because Lustig carefully controlled the demonstration. He made sure that his victims saw exactly what he wanted them to see. He played on their emotions, making them believe they were part of an exclusive opportunity. He would act hesitant at first, pretending that he was reluctant to sell the machine. This only made his victims want it even more. Once they were desperate to own it, he would name an outrageous price, often tens of thousands of dollars. His victims, believing they were about to become rich, paid without hesitation. He sold these machines for tens of thousands of dollars, and by the time his victims realized they had been scammed, Lustig was already gone. This scam alone made him a fortune and established him as a master con artist. Some victims even refused to believe they had been tricked. They thought they must have been using the machine incorrectly. That is how powerful Lustig's deception was. He made people believe in an illusion so completely that they doubted reality itself. 3. Selling the Eiffel Tower, the perfect crime. In 1925, Lustig pulled off his most daring scam. At the time, the Eiffel Tower was in poor condition, and rumors spread that the French government might dismantle it. Lustig saw an opportunity. He forged official government documents and posed as a high-ranking official from the French Ministry of Post and Telegraphs. He invited a group of wealthy scrap metal dealers to a secret meeting at a luxury hotel in Paris. Lustig told them that the government wanted to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap, but needed to keep the sale private. The businessmen believed they were part of an exclusive deal. After intense negotiations, Lustig convinced one of them, André Poisson, to pay a massive bribe to secure the contract. He made the entire process seem official, using fake documents, government seals, and an air of authority. His victims never suspected that they were being scammed. By the time Poisson realized he had been tricked, Lustig had already fled. The most incredible part: a few months later, he returned to Paris and attempted to sell the Eiffel Tower again. This time, authorities caught on, and he had to flee before completing the second sale. It was one of the most audacious scams in history, and it cemented Lustig's reputation as one of the greatest con artists of all time. Selling something as iconic as the Eiffel Tower was a crime so bold that it seemed impossible, and yet he did it, not once, but twice. 4. Scamming Al Capone. Lustig's confidence was so great that he even scammed the infamous gangster Al Capone. He convinced Capone to invest $50,000 in a fake business venture. Unlike his usual scams, Lustig did something unexpected. He returned the money weeks later, claiming the deal had fallen through. This act of honesty made Capone trust him, believing Lustig was a rare businessman who did not steal. Later, Lustig used this trust to con Capone out of even more money. Fooling one of the most dangerous criminals in America proved just how skilled Lustig was. Capone was known for his brutality and intelligence, yet Lustig managed to manipulate him with ease. He understood that people trusted those who seemed honest, so he played the long game. By returning the money at first, he made Capone believe he was dealing with someone trustworthy. It was a brilliant strategy, and it worked perfectly. Most con artists would never dare to trick someone like Capone, but Lustig was different. He had no fear, no hesitation. He saw every person, no matter how powerful, as just another target. His ability to manipulate even the most ruthless individuals showed just how talented he was. His scams were more than just theft. They were carefully planned psychological operations designed to make people believe in something that was never real. 5. The fall of Victor Lustig. For years, Lustig remained untouchable. He traveled the world, changing identities and leaving behind a trail of victims. But no criminal can stay ahead forever. The United States Secret Service had been tracking him for years, and his downfall began when they discovered one of his most dangerous scams: counterfeiting. Unlike his previous scams, which relied on deception, this one involved printing fake money on a massive scale. Lustig and his team produced counterfeit $100 bills that were nearly indistinguishable from the real thing. These fake notes began circulating widely, threatening to destabilize the U.S. economy. The Secret Service made capturing Lustig a top priority. They followed his movements, studied his associates, and waited for the right moment to strike. Eventually, they caught a break when one of Lustig's partners betrayed him, giving authorities crucial information about his operations. In 1935, Lustig was arrested in New York. Even in handcuffs, he remained confident and composed. He knew how to manipulate people, and he even tried to talk his way out of custody. But this time, there was no escape. The evidence was overwhelming, and his luck had finally run out. After years of outsmarting law enforcement, Victor Lustig was facing the end of his criminal career. 6. The final escape attempt. Even after being captured, Lustig did not give up. He had escaped from custody before, and he planned to do it again. While awaiting trial, he was held in a high-security facility, but he studied the routines of the guards and looked for weaknesses. Then, in a daring move, he managed to escape from the Federal Detention Center in New York. It was another brilliant illusion. He faked an illness, distracted the guards, and slipped away into the streets. 7. The mysterious death of Victor Lustig. Victor Lustig spent the last years of his life in Alcatraz. He had outsmarted some of the richest and most powerful people in the world, but now he was confined to a prison cell. He never showed regret for his crimes. To him, it was all a game, and he had played it better than anyone else. Even in prison, he held a sense of mystery, never revealing all the secrets of his scams. In 1947, Lustig died from complications related to pneumonia, but even in death, there were mysteries. Some believe he faked his own death to escape one last time. Others say he simply accepted his fate and let the game come to an end. Whatever the truth, his legacy as one of history's greatest con artists remains. Victor Lustig was more than just a fraudster. He was an illusionist, a manipulator, and a master of human psychology. His ability to sell lies as truth made him one of the most fascinating criminals of all time. He was not just a thief, he was an artist of deception. His scams were so bold, so impossible, that they became legendary. 8. Lessons from Lustig's scams. There is a reason Victor Lustig was so successful. He understood people better than they understood themselves. He knew that greed and trust could make even the smartest individuals blind. His story is not just about crime. It is about human nature. People want to believe in easy money, in secret opportunities, in things too good to be true. Lustig took advantage of that belief, time and time again. One of his greatest tricks was creating an air of exclusivity. He never begged for money. He made people feel like they were being given a rare opportunity. He made his victims chase him, convincing them that they were the lucky ones. This psychological manipulation was the foundation of all his scams. Even today, Lustig's lessons are still relevant. Scams have evolved, but the principles remain the same. Whether it is fake investment schemes, pyramid scams, or online fraud, con artists still use the same tactics that Lustig perfected a century ago. The best way to avoid being scammed is to understand how deception works. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. 9. How Victor Lustig's legacy lies on. Victor Lustig may be gone, but his legacy remains. His scams were so legendary that they continue to inspire books, movies, and documentaries. His ability to manipulate, persuade, and deceive was unmatched. Even today, his techniques are studied by law enforcement, psychologists, and even business strategists. Some see him as a criminal genius, while others see him as a cautionary tale. He was a man who built his life on illusions, constantly staying ahead of the game. But in the end, even the greatest illusionist could not escape forever. His story is a reminder that no matter how smart or skilled a con artist is, the truth always catches up. He convinced the world that anything was possible, even selling the Eiffel Tower. His name will always be remembered as one of the greatest con artists of all time. His life was a game of deception, played to perfection. But in the end, even the greatest players must face their final move. 10. The final word on Victor Lustig. Victor Lustig's story is one of ambition, brilliance, and deception. He was a man who lived by his own rules, outsmarting the rich, the powerful, and even the law. His scams were not just about money. They were about power, influence, and control. He made people believe in illusions, and that is what made him so dangerous. But his downfall serves as a lesson. No matter how clever a con artist is, they can never outrun justice forever. Lustig's life was a constant game of cat and mouse, but eventually the game ended. His story remains one of the most fascinating tales of crime and deception in history. Victor Lustig was not just a con man, he was a legend. He showed the world that deception is an art, and he was its greatest artist. But even the best illusions cannot last forever. In the end, the truth always wins. 11. The final scam that led to his downfall. Victor Lustig had spent years outsmarting authorities, businessmen, and even criminals. But his hunger for the next big con never faded. He decided to pull off another daring scheme, this time involving counterfeit money. With the help of a skilled forger, he began producing fake banknotes so perfect that they fooled even the experts. The counterfeit bills started circulating across the country, flooding the economy. Banks, businesses, and law enforcement became alarmed as more fake notes appeared. The Secret Service was immediately involved, launching a massive investigation. They traced the operation back to Lustig and his network of criminals. He knew the walls were closing in, but he still believed he could escape. This time, however, his charm and tricks would not be enough. The authorities had gathered overwhelming evidence, and they were determined to bring him down. 12. His attempt to escape prison. Even after being caught, Lustig remained as cunning as ever. He was held at the Manhattan Detention Center, awaiting trial. But instead of accepting his fate, he plotted his greatest escape. Using his charisma, he convinced the guards he was a model prisoner. He pretended to cooperate while secretly studying the prison's weaknesses. Late one night, when the guards least expected it, he made his move. He fashioned a makeshift rope and climbed out of a high window, disappearing into the streets. News of his escape shocked law enforcement and the public. Lustig was now a fugitive, and the authorities were determined to hunt him down. He stayed hidden for nearly a month, changing disguises and moving constantly. But his notoriety made it impossible to disappear forever. Eventually, he made one crucial mistake. He used a counterfeit bill, which alerted the police. Within days, the Secret Service tracked him down and arrested him again. This time, there would be no escape. 13. The mysterious end of Victor Lustig. After his recapture, Lustig's fate was sealed. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison and sent to Alcatraz, the most secure prison in America. The once great conman was now just another inmate, stripped of his power and influence. Yet, even in prison, he remained an enigma. Some guards reported that he still acted like a gentleman, charming those around him. Others believe he was secretly planning one final trick. But whatever planned, he had never came to life. On March 11, 1947, Lustig died from pneumonia. Some believe he faked his death to escape once more. Others think he finally accepted his fate. The truth remains a mystery, just like the man himself. His legendary life came to an end, but his name would never be forgotten. Even today, he is remembered as one of history's greatest conmen. 14. The secrets behind his success. Victor Lustig was not just another scam artist. He was a master of human psychology. He knew exactly how to manipulate people's emotions and gain their trust. His confidence made him seem credible, no matter how outrageous his schemes were. He understood greed and used it against his victims. He made people believe they were getting an exclusive deal, which made them blind to the deception. He also relied on intelligence and adaptability. He could change his identity, accent, and mannerisms instantly. Unlike other criminals, he never used violence. His weapon was his words. This made people respect and even admire him. His 10 commandments for conmen revealed his secrets, emphasizing charm, patience, and observation. Even modern con artists study his techniques. His ability to deceive some of the smartest people in the world proved one thing: the greatest scams do not rely on lies alone. They rely on making people believe in them. 15. Why his story still matters today. Even though Lustig's crimes happened nearly a century ago, his story remains relevant. Scammers today use the same psychological tricks he perfected. From email scams to fake investments, the art of deception has only evolved. Lustig's life teaches an important lesson. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. His ability to exploit human nature shows why critical thinking is essential. Many people still fall for scams because they ignore red flags. Lustig's story also highlights the power of confidence and persuasion. His charm fooled millionaires, government officials, and even the mafia. It proves that appearances can be deceiving. His downfall serves as a reminder that no con lasts forever. No matter how clever someone is, the truth eventually catches up. His legacy is both a warning and a fascinating glimpse into the mind of a genius conman. His story will continue to be studied for generations to come. Victor Lustig's story is a reminder that deception is an art, one that he mastered better than anyone. He fooled the richest men, outsmarted law enforcement, and even humiliated a dictator. His schemes were so daring that they seem like fiction, yet they were all real. But in the end, no con lasts forever. His life of crime eventually caught up with him, proving that even the greatest tricksters cannot escape justice. Today, scams are more sophisticated, but they still rely on the same psychological tricks Lustig used. His story is a warning to always question what seems too good to be true. It also shows the power of confidence, persuasion, and adaptability. Whether you see him as a genius or a criminal, his legacy remains unforgettable. If you found Lustig's story fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Do not forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.